Hey all my fellow and soon-to-be maniacs out there, this is your favorite webcomic creator and animator, the Chainsaw Maniac, here with another edition of Coffee and Chainsaws. The segment basically where I rant, I ramble, I talk about what has happened over the past few weeks, months, as well as many other events and topics. So if you guys enjoy the content that I do and you would like to see more, I suggest you head on down to that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to be notified of anything else I do on this channel. So yeah, it's been a pretty busy, last week has been very busy. I know over this weekend I had to actually grind through some animation work to get some things done because I was very busy. It's a bit more chilled now. It's not as intense as it was last week, as well as in South Africa we have reached stage 4 of load shedding, or at least we have gone back to stage 4, which means the power only goes off for about 2 hours to maybe 4 hours a day, which actually isn't that much because it's spaced out in 2 hours. So like basically I usually only catch 2 hours of load shedding a day, which means I only lose 2 hours of power, and that's fine. So recently my brother got a UPS, and he said yeah, we can all use it when he's not busy with it. So thankfully when he's not using the UPS, I can use it. It's basically just a giant power bank that I can just plug my PC into, and I can basically power my entire setup here. So whenever I do want to stream or do something and I see, oh shit, we're getting load shedding or our power's going out, I can literally use the UPS and just power my entire system. Cool, that's gonna really help me out whenever I need to really get some work done, and I actually want to work whenever I want. So yeah, that's really gonna help me out, because what happens is I have to work around the power outages and basically work on whatever I want to work on when the power is on, and then when it goes off, I finish up all my chores and stuff around the house that I have to do. That's kind of how me and my wife operate. Updates on my short film as well as my comics. Recently we're getting close to 200 followers on Webtoon for Kill All Heroes, which is pretty cool. I haven't actually checked out the following on the Merchant of Ignatius, but I have been working on the Merchant of Ignatius as well, so that'll be interesting. I want to see how far I can push that as well, because now we're getting 200 subs on Kill Heroes, and with the way Webtoon is, the way the following system is, you can kind of head into the creators that you like and see what other works they've done. So maybe the people who like Kill Heroes see that I do other comics as well, and they go read those comics. So yeah, let's see how that goes. Yeah, but if you guys haven't checked out my comics yet, the links to everything is in the description down below, so I suggest you check it out as well. And because I was so busy with actual animation work, the short film has kind of like been on the back burner for a couple days. So yeah, we're kind of behind on it, but I'm definitely confident that I will still be able to get it out, because the fast is coming up, and basically what's going to happen is the fast is when I'm the most focused, so I'm going to have a lot of time to crunch down on whatever scenes I need to get out. But we're actually finishing up on the storyboarding aspect of the short film. So yeah, a lot of the short film's done. Like I would say over 90% of it's done. I just have to do the final scenes, and that's about it. And then we can start finalizing things and start finishing shots and stuff. I will obviously work on the most prominent shots first. In terms of the trailer I want to produce before I actually release the short film, I definitely want to do a trailer. I still got to do the voiceover stuff. I haven't done that yet. I also have to connect with my friend Jess soon with her voiceover part in the short film. Obviously I will accredit her, and it'll be some nice promotional stuff for her comics as well. In terms of my comics, I have produced some guides. At least I will be continuing to produce guides for Kill All Heroes, which will be dropping. Another guide will be dropping this week until obviously season 2. Like I said, I'll still be dropping content on Kill Heroes. It just won't be story driven content, more so the lore aspect of Kill Heroes, which is like superhero guides explaining everyone's powers, just basically going over stuff that I think I might not cover in the actual comic itself. So yeah, that's just a little extra lore, a little extra information on the characters that are being shown in the comic book itself. And then obviously there is the Merchant of Ignatius. I've started already working on season 2 in terms of the thumbnailing aspect of it and planning every episode and everything. I have worked slightly on it. That's like, I think, the lowest priority right now. The main priority is just getting out my short film, making sure Kill Heroes are still running in terms of the guide entries and all that type of stuff, because the way Webtoon works is, comic has to be active for you to gain new subs and stuff like that. So show. So I want to keep it active, keep it updating till I actually finish the series. And also I have a bonus episode of Kill All Heroes that I will be dropping soon as well. That's actually done. I can actually drop that. Basically based, it was for a comic jam that we did, and it's based on one of the characters on there in terms of their backstory. So I thought that was pretty cool just to throw it out there. So yeah, maybe I'll drop it this week, and then I'll drop another guide entry or whatever after that. So yeah, that will be cool. Because it's already done, I might as well just put it out there. Recently, Ant-Man, I think it's Quantum Mania dropped. By the way, not interested at all in that movie. The way Marvel's going, I'm done with it. You know, I'm done with it. At least Disney's Marvel, I'm done with. Like, I can't take it anymore. It's like so dead. Maybe I'll watch Guardians of the Galaxy again, because I've really enjoyed the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I might actually check out part 3. The Marvels, I think that's the next thing that's coming out. I'm not interested in that. Yeah, a lot of stuff about Marvel that I'm not interested in really in terms of the movies. I might just, watch it on my own time. But basically Disney is just losing money. I mean, they're still making money. When you look at the stats, you're like, oh shit, that's a lot of money, but they're not getting anything back. They just barely breaking even, or not even breaking even, just basically making half of what they put into the film. As a result, a lot of people are getting overworked for less than what they are being paid. And because of that, a lot of visual effects artists and creators in terms of these films are getting paid less than what they're supposed to get paid, because Disney's not making the money, of course. But overall, I was more so a DC fan. DC has been pretty chill. So far, I've liked what DC has put out. It's not the best stuff, I think, but like, it's definitely alright, except for the Flash that's coming, the new Flash that's coming out with Ezra Miller in it. I don't want to support that guy at all, because Ezra Miller is just, I don't know if you guys have heard of the funky stuff that has happened with him in terms of the charges that has been put on him and everything. And I don't know why he still has a job, and why Henry Cavill has lost his job as Superman, and I think Ben Affleck also out as Batman, Gal Gadot also out as Wonder Woman. Like, why the hell? And I think Jason Momoa is also out as Aquaman as well. So like, all the cool actors that I really like their renditions of the DC characters, and they were the perfect actors for the job, but didn't seem to work out. At this point, Disney's Marvel and DC, it's done. I just think you should just kill off everything. Just kill it off, kill it dead, burn it. Burn everything and start over. And it's kind of the problem with what happens with a lot of franchises. For example, Dragon Ball Z, OG, DBZ, with the, and I don't mean Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball was, obviously enjoyed Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball Z was where it's at. Frieza, and these are the most iconic anime moments of all time, right? When Goku first goes Super Saiyan for the first time, Gohan versing Cell. As soon as it went away from Dragon Ball Z, as soon as it went into Super, and all the stuff that's happening there now, dragging on way too long, I think they should have just ended it at Dragon Ball Z and leave it be. Just let it die. Let it die. If you wanted to continue it, you could have done a few spin-offs. That was fine. I like the Bardock movie, that happened. You can always do spin-offs and stuff like that. But I think the main story with Goku and I think it would have been better if they just continued onward with Gohan, they're doing a kind of a Naruto and then Boruto. It would have been better if Goku just died at the end of the Buu saga, and all the OG characters just died. There was just heavy stakes. The Dragon Balls were fucked. They couldn't bring anyone back. Dragon Balls were just destroyed, and then Goku dies forever. A lot of the OG characters die forever, and basically the new generation have to pick up the slack, because now the world is lacking that hero and whatever, But I would have much preferred something like that rather than what we have now, because what we have now is just gobbledygoosh and just a whole bunch of stuff mashed together, and they just labeled it as Dragon Ball Z, but what it is it's just nonsense. Now, to be honest, I did like the Tournament of Power. I believe that concept is pretty cool, in terms of the different types of universes and stuff like that. And the Dragon Ball Z, the way the timelines and universes kind of work is pretty interesting, and I kind of enjoyed that. It's just where it's going now. It's just going far off the beating path, and a lot of franchises that have been here for quite some time, obviously they do this to stay relevant and kind kind of keep up with the times. That's why with the current comics that I'm working on, the way I work on like my properties and my works, right? If I produce a work, I produce it, and once it's done, it's done. I do not continue it. There might be a few spin-offs here and there, but then afterwards the main storyline is done. The characters are done. They've done what they did, and that's it. And I'm gonna start a new comic. And it might not be as good as that comic, but I'm gonna start anew and start something different. And then maybe that doesn't work out, and I try out a new thing and we start something different. Like it's better to start new. It's better to start anew and explore different things rather than stick with the same thing and then basically try and like mold it into something new when it's not. You know what I mean? It's just kind of weird. You're forcing this thing that was a thing in its time. It was like a specific thing. You know what I mean? And now you're taking it and you're molding it into something that you want, like the kids of today or whoever is your target audience for now, to actually look at it in that way again. And it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. You have to kind of just let it go and just make something new. I understand there's a lot of money involved, and obviously when companies are like, oh, this property is selling well, yeah, let's make a whole thing of like this one property. And I mean, that's just business, right? They see, oh, a lot of people like this stuff, and so they create new things with the thing, and then they sell new toys, new merch and stuff like that. It just goes into this weird business machine, and then it just pumps out stuff, and it's just, there's no love in it. It's just like, we're just doing this to sell more product, sell more toys, and yada yada. That happens obviously when you sell your property over to a company and whatever, and especially because the people in that company may not be creatives, and so they just see dollar signs and they just go for it. You know what I mean? And that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Do what you have to do to make some bag, make some cash. It's just, don't complain when people are not interested in that thing anymore, because it's been beat to death so much times that like it's just dead. You know what I mean? Can't continue to beat that dead horse. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's done. And I hope that if one of my stuff get as big as it does, and people like it, I hope that I can do them the due diligence and the courtesy of killing it off properly for them. Make it die a good death. You know what I mean? Just like let it rest, peacefully. You set it down perfectly. You did what you needed to do. Your execution was good. You ended off on a good note. You basically say that's it. And then you say, okay guys, if you like this thing that I produced, here's a new thing that I'm gonna produce. And if you guys were interested in that thing, maybe you like this and maybe you won't. Maybe you check it out and you're like, oh, I much rather like the way you did the other thing, and I like that more than this, and that's fine. But then you're going to get a new audience with this property and whatever, and it's going to build up again. And obviously sometimes you can't just catch magic in a bottle twice. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it doesn't work anymore, or maybe it takes a while again to figure it out. It's just part of the course, it's part of the way things go. But that's kind of what's happening with the newer stuff. Well, I say new, but it's not really new. It's just taking old stuff and making it new, or turning it into a modern thing. And the problem with that is, when you take something back, it was specifically released at a certain time, so there's gonna be some of the pieces that were released in those days are time specific. So like, if you were to modernize certain properties and modernize certain things, it just wouldn't work. But yeah, Harry Potter, you can go back and watch all of the Harry Potter movies. You will still enjoy them. Like, they are still really good. And I would always go back and just watch it, like again, and it's pretty cool. The same thing with like the Matrix trilogy. I can go back and watch that as well. Like, I enjoyed the Matrix, I can go back and watch that. A lot of people aren't Star Wars fans. I can go back and watch Star Wars as well. The original trilogy, and then the prequels I enjoy. The news can die, I really don't care about that. But those 6 movies, like, I can watch those again. I really enjoy those movies. There's some movies that I've watched pieces of as a kid and I never understand the movie, and then I go back and watch it now and I'm like, oh, that's what it is. For example, the movie Seven, never watched it before. Never watched it before. In last year, I watched a really cool movie, Fight Club. A few years ago, I watched that, and I didn't understand it as much when I was like younger. But now watching it now, I'm like, oh damn, this movie is pretty badass. But anyway, let's leave it there before this turns into a whole other rant, and I don't really have time because I have a short film to finish. Let's end this with some motivation. The motivational thing that I'm going to talk about today is initiative. I think that's what it is, because I've seen a lot of people. You'll be surprised. Like, I'm not really that popular, but like people blow up my DMs. It's so weird. Like, I'm like only on like what 630 subs now, and people is already blowing up my DMs asking about how do I become an animator, how do I get a job in the art industry, how do I do this, how do I do that. Look, when you guys ask me like how do I do this thing, I'll be honest with you, I have no idea. Okay, I just do stuff and they work. Okay, I don't know how they work, but they work. Okay, now for me to explain to you how you can get a job and all this type of stuff. Look here, mine is all circumstantial, mine is all anecdotal. Like, I did a certain sequence of things and it worked out and I have a job in the animation industry. Look, I mean, I don't mind answering those questions for you guys. It's just like, the only thing I can say is that I went for it. Okay, I went for it. I didn't care overall about what it would do to me in the moment, if you know what I mean. Like, I just went for it. And luckily, I had people who supported me and could back me up in terms of, like, I didn't have to ask them to back me up. Specifically, my parents. Like, my parents really helped me out because, as well as my brother, always, like, having my back. So, like, they always had my back. My family always had my back. And the way we would kind of operate in the household is we are a unit. Whatever we do, whatever the decision that we make that affects us financially as well as affects the family unit, we have to discuss it. We have to figure out a plan together. And if obviously I have a certain problem, whatever, I can always come to my dad and ask my mom their advice or how they would navigate situations. Now, most of you, I know there's people out there who might not even have parents, they might not even have that friend base that they can lean on, but don't let that stop you. You can do it by yourself. To be honest with you, it's going to be much harder. Trust me, it's going to be much tougher. You are going to go through hell, but you will get it done. Just having some people to help you just speeds up that process. And when you want something, you will definitely get it if you go for it. You just have to go for it. Okay, there is a risk aspect of this, and I'm not going to tell anyone to risk their part-time jobs or their current job they have to pursue an art career, but there is a little bit of risk in it. But if you can plan for that risk, if you can plan around it, then I would suggest go for it. For example, if you were to maybe save up some cash or save up whatever money you need for a few months, okay, and that's kind of what I did. At the time, before I got my current job that I'm working at, I worked in Cash Crusaders, like a store clerk basically. What I did was, the money I got from, I was used to paying off my college, right? Because obviously we took out a loan for the college stuff and we paid that off and stuff like that. Paid it off thanks to me actually buckling down and just getting money and getting that paid off. Basically, I worked something out with my dad. I said, look at that. If you can support me for about as long as it takes to finish college, I will promise you, as soon as college is done, I would get a job immediately. Like, I would find a job and get it done. So my dad said, okay, cool, we can work something out. What I did was I freelanced actually, and I think at that time, I posted my CV anywhere that basically has anything to do with Photoshop or whatever I was doing at the time. I don't think I even had a licensed Photoshop at the time. I had a cracked version of Photoshop. And it was like CS6 or something, right? I had many other like alternative stuff that I could use to edit videos and stuff like that. And basically I would use that. And at the time I had like a MacBook Pro, which I used for college. I saved up and I bought that thing, freaking expensive. But I bought it for college and I used that for my freelancing jobs. And yeah, I basically grinded my ass off. And I sent out emails every day applying for a job, every single day. Even if it was the same place, I would apply like 3 times a day or something. Like, I would be really annoying about it. Like, I would apply every single day. And whatever job opportunity I got, whether it was graphic design, whether it was web design, whether like anything, because at the time I took a multimedia course, which means I knew the basics of all these specific type of skills. Therefore, I could literally do most of these things anyway. So like I applied for all of them and I took the ones that were most available and the ones that sucked the most, like the really sucky jobs that no one was doing. And I didn't care how much I was getting paid, because here's the thing, and this is the strategy I used. Like I basically took any job with any amount of pay. I wasn't doing it for the pay, I was doing it for the recognition. I was doing it so I can put that into my portfolio and show people, oh, look at this, and basically use that also as a reference. So I could show people like, I've done this work before, I have job experience, because that's mostly what people look for. They look for job experience. They don't look for your qualifications and what colleges you would go to. No, they look for actual experience, like what have you produced. So yeah, that's what my plan was. My plan wasn't to earn money. My plan was to produce works and show people what I'm capable of, basically. And after all that, I realized that if I don't take the risk, if I don't take initiative, and if I don't move forward, I'm going to be left behind. I need to move forward. I need to put in the risk. I need to put in the initiative, and I need to just get this thing done. Whatever it takes, you know what I mean? Like whatever it takes, because I knew that if I can just push through the struggling part, I knew that if I landed on my job, I'm going to be more secure. I'm going to be more chill. Like, it's going to be a big load off my back. So, like, I just thought, like, just getting it over with now. And then I can relax later, you know? That's specifically how I technically got my job. I just persevered. I pushed through whatever I needed to push through. And I kept moving forward. And I would say 6 to 7 months later, I got my job. I worked very hard. Within a year's time, they're already asking me to be head of the department. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. But I was like, yeah, just put me in like an animation position. I don't really want to be head of the department. That's too much weight on me right now. I barely have enough experience to manage the other guys, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Get me into the animation aspect. I want to learn, build up my experience first before I start managing, and when I don't know anything they're doing, you know. And that's kind of what I have to do with a lot of things. You know, if you know this part is going to suck, get it as quickly done as possible, because you know this is the suckish part. So get it over with, you know, get into it, get it over with, because it's going to happen, you know. And when you land the job, don't think it's sunshine and rainbows from there. Like, it's only going to get harder, because from there, you're going to have to ramp up, because obviously the quality is going to improve every time. New advancements are going to, you know, be brought up every year. So, you know, you need to be updated with the latest things. You need to look into a lot of things. So yeah, you don't be stuck in the past. You know, if there's new advancements, you got to stick with the times. You got to work with what is available with you at the time. But that's it for this edition of Coffee and Chainsaws. If you guys enjoyed, like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. As always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye now.